Mark had never expected a quiet night on the space station to turn into something extraordinary. He was finishing his usual maintenance work in his small quarters, checking sensors and repairing minor glitches in the life support system. It was a routine evening, and the hum of the station's engines was his only companion. He stretched and yawned, thinking about calling it a night when a strange shimmering appeared in the middle of his bed. At first he thought it was a reflection from the monitor or some malfunction in the room's light system. But then the shimmer grew brighter, forming into a solid figure, an alien woman standing there as if she had stepped right out of thin air. Mark froze. His mind raced to find a logical explanation. Hello? He stammered. Who are you? The woman's eyes were wide, almost panicked, and she spoke rapidly in a language he didn't understand. Then surprisingly, she switched to perfect English. It's a mating emergency, she said, almost shouting. Her voice was calm but urgent, leaving no room for misunderstanding. I need your help, immediately. Mark blinked, trying to process her words. Mating emergency? I don't think I understand. Are you hurt? She shook her head quickly, her long, iridescent hair shimmering under the room's light. No, not hurt. But my species, if this ritual does not happen soon, it could be fatal. I cannot explain fully in your language, but you must help me. Mark's mind was spinning. He had always been curious about alien life, but he had never encountered anything like this. He looked at her standing there, clearly anxious, but also fragile in a way. He couldn't deny the intensity in her eyes. Okay, he said slowly, deciding to trust his instincts. I don't know exactly what you mean, but I can help. We'll figure this out safely. Her shoulders relaxed slightly and she let out a soft breath. Thank you. You do not know what you are risking. My species, we do not survive without this. Mark gestured toward a chair and she carefully sat down. Start from the beginning, he said. Tell me what this is about. Step by step. I'm human, but I can think fast. She nodded and her voice softened. I am Lyria from the planet Arendor. Our species has a biological connection that humans do not have. Once in our lifetime, we must perform a ritual with another sentient being to transfer vital energy. Without it, our life force begins to fail. The ritual is delicate, dangerous if not performed correctly. Mark ran a hand through his hair. Okay, let me get this straight. You need a ritual or you could die. Yes, she said simply. And your species is compatible. That is why I am here. I did not want to alarm you, but time is critical. Mark stared at her. He had always known humans were part of a galaxy full of life, but the reality of helping an alien with her species' survival was overwhelming. Yet something in her tone made him feel responsible. She trusted him, and humans rarely let someone down when they were needed. All right, Mark said finally. We'll figure this out together, but we do it safely. No one gets hurt. Okay, she nodded. Relief washed over her features. Yes, I trust you. But hurry. The energy window is closing. Mark spent the next few minutes assessing the situation logically. Lyria's body emitted a soft glow, faint but unmistakable. He could feel a vibrational energy in the room like the air itself was alive. This wasn't just biology. It was something beyond his experience. I need you to stay calm, he said. If we panic, we could make a mistake. I need to understand exactly what this ritual requires. Can you explain without hurting anyone? She looked hesitant, then nodded. Yes, but you must trust me completely. The ritual involves the transfer of energy from one being to another. In your terms, it is like sharing your life force, but with controls. If done incorrectly, it could harm you. But I will guide you, Mark's mind raced. He was a trained engineer, used to solving problems under pressure, but this was different. There were no manuals for alien energy rituals. Still, his confidence grew. Humans were known across the stars for quick thinking and adaptability. All right, step by step, Mark said, grabbing a notepad. You tell me what to do and I follow. No improvisation until we understand it fully. Lyria smiled faintly, a mix of gratitude and nervousness. Step 1. You must create a containment field around yourself and me. This protects both our energies from dispersing. It must be stable, Mark nodded. He activated his small toolkit, assembling a portable energy stabilizer he had designed for testing alien power sources. His hands moved quickly, adjusting the settings while Lyria guided him through the calibration. You are precise, she said, almost in awe. Your species, you think clearly under pressure. I underestimated humans. Mark chuckled nervously. I like to solve problems. You're just giving me one of the hardest problems I've ever seen. By the time the containment field was active, the room shimmered with a soft, pulsing glow. Lyria's glow intensified, mingling with the field, and Mark could feel a warmth spreading through the air. Not threatening, but alive. Step 2, Lyria said, her voice steady now, is the energy alignment. You must focus your mind. Your heart and mind must sync with my energy. Humans are slower than my species at sensing this, but you have courage. That helps. Mark took a deep breath, closing his eyes for the first time since her arrival. He felt a strange vibration in his chest, almost like a heartbeat magnified. Concentrating, he extended his awareness to Lyria's presence. Slowly, he could sense a pattern in her energy, complex, flowing, and alive. This is incredible, Mark whispered. I can feel it. It's beautiful. She nodded, a faint smile appearing. Good, you are learning quickly. Now the final step, you must transfer a small portion of your energy to me through focus. It is not physical, your body is safe, but it requires clarity and trust. Mark's mind was racing. Humans had never interacted with such raw life energy before, but he trusted her. He had faced dangerous situations before, but nothing like this. And yet he felt a surge of determination. Humans always rose to the challenge, no matter how impossible it seemed. Okay, he said firmly. I'm ready. Guide me. For the first time, Lyria relaxed fully. Thank you, human. Focus. Breathe. Imagine your energy flowing naturally, and let it connect to mine. Mark followed her instructions. He could feel a thread of warmth connecting them, gentle but powerful. Lyria's glow brightened, stabilizing as Mark's energy matched hers. The containment field shimmered but held strong. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, Lyria let out a soft sigh. It is done. You saved me. Mark opened his eyes, amazed. Lyria's glow returned to normal, and she looked healthier, calmer, and more radiant than before. He felt tired but exhilarated. He had just participated in something no human had ever experienced before. You did it, she said, her voice soft. Your courage, your clarity, it saved my life. You are remarkable, human. Mark smiled, feeling a surge of pride. Humans had always been underestimated across the galaxy, but tonight he had proven their worth. Not through brute strength or weapons, but through intelligence, adaptability, and bravery. Lyria looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. I must return to my planet soon, but I will never forget you. You have earned respect not only from me, but from my species, humans. They are capable of great heroism. Mark chuckled softly. I guess tonight humans prove something new. You're welcome, I think. The air was calm now. The shimmer of her arrival was gone, but the energy between them lingered, a reminder of the bond formed during this extraordinary night. Mark knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and humans were just beginning to show their potential. If tonight was any sign, humans had a place among the stars, not as weak, unprepared creatures, but as heroes capable of facing the unknown. And somewhere across the stars, Lyria would carry the story of a human who had risen to the challenge when it mattered most. The morning after the unusual arrival, Mark woke to the soft hum of the station's engines and the faint glow of the artificial sunlight streaming through the window. He stretched, still feeling the lingering energy from last night's event. Lyria was awake too, sitting calmly in the corner of the room, her eyes scanning the small space with curiosity. You sleep well? Mark asked, trying to break the awkward silence. Lyria tilted her head, a faint smile forming. I did not need much sleep. My species can rest in ways you would not understand, but I am ready to continue. Mark rubbed his eyes, still trying to reconcile the strange events of yesterday. He had helped an alien survive a life-or-death ritual. Now they were going to figure out the next step, understanding each other's cultures and adapting the rituals safely for both species. All right, Mark said. First, I need to understand more about your culture. If we are going to work together, I can't make mistakes. Lyria nodded. Our species' survival depends on collaboration. Humans, I had underestimated your intelligence yesterday. You adapt quickly. Mark felt a surge of pride. Humans were always underestimated in interstellar affairs. They were clever, resourceful, and often fearless when it mattered most. Thanks, but you'll see. We humans have a way of figuring things out. Lyria looked thoughtful. Yesterday you saved my life not through strength, but through understanding and focus. That is rare in the galaxy. Many species fail when faced with the unknown. Mark smiled. Well, I do like puzzles, and figuring out alien life forms is a puzzle of a lifetime. Lyria's eyes brightened. Then you will need all your human creativity. Today we adapt the ritual. Your species cannot follow my rituals exactly. They are too dangerous for humans. Mark's brow furrowed. So you want to teach me a ritual I can't fully understand? Yes, she said simply. But your species' mind, your ingenuity, it can make this ritual safer. That is why I am here. That is why I came to you. Mark nodded. Humans had a habit of turning impossible situations into solutions. He had faced emergencies on this station before, but never anything like this. He felt both nervous and excited. Let's start, he said, setting up his portable console and tools. Show me what needs to be done and I'll make it work for us both. Lyria moved gracefully, demonstrating the energy flows she needed. Mark watched closely, noticing patterns and sequences in her movements and the subtle vibrations that surrounded her. You will need to focus, Lyria said. The energy flows are not only physical. They respond to the mind and intention. Humans are slower at sensing this, but your species has ingenuity. That is your strength. Mark took a deep breath and concentrated. Slowly, he began to sense the faint energy currents around her. It was like trying to read invisible waves in the air, but he could feel their rhythm and pattern. This is amazing, he whispered. It's like listening to music I've never heard before. Lyria nodded. Yes, but be careful. A mistake could disrupt the flow and harm both of us. Mark grinned. I work well under pressure. They spent the next few hours testing small experiments. Mark improvised containment shields using his human engineering skills to stabilize her energy flows safely. Lyria adjusted her position, guiding him with careful instructions. Each step built their trust and understanding. You humans are unlike other species, Lyria said during a short break. You rely on tools and intellect, yet you adapt instinctively. That combination is rare, Mark chuckled. We get underestimated a lot. People think we're fragile or weak, but when pushed, humans shine. You just saw that yesterday. She tilted her head thoughtfully. Yes, many species would panic or fail. You improvise under pressure. That is admirable. Their growing camaraderie was interrupted by a sudden alert from the station's sensors. Mark jumped up and checked the console. A small fleet of unknown ships had appeared nearby, moving toward the station. Who are they? He asked, concern creeping into his voice. Lyria's eyes narrowed. They are from a faction that opposes my species. They know of the ritual and wish to control it. If they succeed, the energy could be used to harm many, not just me. Mark's pulse quickened. He had faced pirates and smugglers before, but this was different. These were experienced alien operatives, likely far more advanced than humans. But he didn't panic. Humans had a way of turning the odds in their favor. We need a plan, Mark said. We can't let them interfere, Lyria nodded. You must use your human creativity. Your species can turn disadvantages into strategies. Mark smiled faintly. All right. First, we secure the energy containment field. Then I create a decoy signal to confuse them. It won't last long, but it can give us time. Working quickly, Mark and Lyria prepared the station. The energy field shimmered around them, stronger and more stable than before. Mark deployed his makeshift decoy devices, creating false energy readings to divert the alien faction. The enemy ships arrived, scanning the station aggressively, but the decoys worked. Their sensors were drawn to false signals, giving Mark and Lyria the precious minutes they needed. You humans, you think differently, Lyria said, eyes wide with admiration. You use the unknown to your advantage. My species often relies on power alone. That is not enough, Mark shrugged. We have to be clever. Brute strength isn't always the answer. Sometimes brains win. The tension eased slightly, but they both knew the danger was far from over. The enemy fleet was too large to ignore completely. They would return, stronger and more determined. Mark, Lyria said softly, I see now why humans are feared and respected in some parts of the galaxy. You are small in size, but your mind, your courage, it makes you formidable. Mark felt a warmth in his chest. Humans often underestimated themselves, but moments like this reminded him that they were capable of extraordinary things. We're not done yet, he said. We still need to complete the adapted ritual. But first we survive this encounter. Then we finish what we started. Lyria nodded, her glow softening as she sensed his determination. Together they focused on the task ahead. The ritual would test them both, but it would also show that humans and aliens could work together. combining strengths in unexpected ways. Hours passed, filled with careful adjustments, energy alignments, and constant monitoring. Mark improvised new techniques to stabilize fluctuations, while Lyria guided him with her instincts and knowledge of her species. Their teamwork was seamless despite their differences. By late evening, the enemy fleet began to retreat, unable to penetrate the station's defenses or outsmart the decoys. Lyria's relief was palpable. "You have done more than save me again. You saved many lives, including mine. Humans, you're extraordinary." Mark smiled, exhausted but satisfied. "Well, humans always find a way, don't we?" Lyria nodded, her eyes sparkling. "Yes. And I now understand that the universe must respect your species. You are not just survivors. You are problem solvers, heroes, and friends to those who need you." As the night fell over the station, Mark and Lyria prepared to continue the ritual. They had survived the first challenge, but the journey was far from over. Both knew that the galaxy was watching, and humans were beginning to prove themselves in ways that would echo far beyond the walls of the small station. Mark looked at Lyria, a quiet determination in his eyes. "Tomorrow we finish this together." Lyria's smile was serene. "Yes, human. Together we will succeed. And perhaps your species will be remembered not just for survival but for greatness." Mark felt a strange pride. Humans were small, fragile in appearance, but their courage, creativity, and adaptability made them capable of incredible feats. And tonight, he had seen it firsthand. The stars outside the window seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging the small human engineer who had risen to meet the impossible, and the alien who had come to rely on him. The next day, Mark woke early, his mind already racing with plans. The previous night had tested his patience, intelligence, and courage. But the challenges ahead would demand more. The enemy faction had retreated, but they would return, stronger and more determined. And now, completing the ritual safely was no longer just a matter of survival. It was a test of human ingenuity against superior alien forces. Lyria was already awake, hovering near the window with her glowing form illuminating the small room. "You are ready," she said softly. "Your species has a rare gift. You adapt. You think under pressure. That will be needed today." Mark nodded, adjusting the tools and equipment he had prepared overnight. "Adaptability is a human specialty. We might not be the strongest, but we find a way where others fail." Lyria smiled faintly. "Yes, I see it clearly now. Many species rely on power alone. You rely on mind, courage, and intuition. That is rare." Their conversation was interrupted by a sharp alert on the station console. The enemy fleet had returned, this time in greater numbers, and their approach was fast and aggressive. Mark's pulse quickened, but he remained calm. Humans were known to thrive in crisis situations, and he intended to prove that once again. "Lyria," he said, pointing to the console, "we'll need to act fast. They are too strong to confront head-on, but humans have a way of turning the odds in their favor. We can outsmart them." She tilted her head, intrigued. "Explain." Mark leaned over the console, typing rapidly. "We create a series of false energy signals throughout the station. We make them think we are somewhere else. Then we use the station's gravity control systems to move objects unpredictably, creating obstacles. We won't fight them directly. We'll make them fail without firing a shot." Lyria's eyes widened. "That is clever. My species often underestimates the creativity of humans. You do not rely solely on power. You rely on thinking," Mark grinned. "Brains over brawn, always." Working quickly, Mark deployed his decoys and activated the gravity field controls. Lyria assisted, using her energy to enhance the signals and confuse the enemy sensors. The station shimmered with subtle energy distortions, making it nearly impossible for the alien fleet to locate the real energy source, the ritual chamber where Lyria's energy must be aligned. The enemy ships fired scanning pulses, but each pulse was misdirected, bouncing off the false signals Mark had created. Confusion spread across their communication channels. They did not understand the human ingenuity at work. "This is impressive," Lyria whispered. "You think in ways no other species I have encountered does. Humans, you are remarkable." Mark chuckled softly. "It's what we do. We survive by thinking ahead, by using what we have in new ways. You'll see that the ritual can proceed safely, even with them nearby." Minutes passed and the enemy fleet grew increasingly frustrated. They attempted to disable the station's defenses, but every move was anticipated. Mark had not only protected the ritual chamber, but had also trapped the enemy ships in energy loops that made them drift harmlessly away. This is amazing, Lyria said. You do not fight like others. You fight with your mind. That is humanity. Mark nodded, sweat forming on his brow. We humans have always been underestimated, but when it matters most, we rise. With the enemy temporarily stalled, Mark turned his focus back to the ritual. Lyria's energy glowed brighter, and he could feel the pressure building. The alignment required precision, patience, and courage. One mistake could disrupt everything. Are you ready? He asked. Lyria nodded. Yes, let us begin. But you must maintain your focus. The alignment is delicate. Your species' mind is strong, but your body is inexperienced with this energy. Stay steady. Mark took a deep breath and centered himself. He felt the rhythm of Lyria's energy, subtle but powerful, pulsing like a heartbeat through the room. Slowly, carefully, he began the alignment using the containment field and the enhancements he had designed overnight. You are doing well, Lyria said, her voice calm and steady. Feel the flow. Do not force it. Let it move naturally. Mark followed her instructions, his hands moving over the console, adjusting energy outputs and fine-tuning the field. He could sense the currents of her life force, and gradually, he learned to synchronize with it. It was like learning a new language, but one that resonated deep inside him. As the alignment progressed, the enemy fleet made another attempt to breach the station. But Mark had anticipated this. He activated emergency shields, and Lyria's energy augmented them, creating a barrier that was nearly impossible to penetrate. You humans are extraordinary, she said, awe in her voice. You do not rely on strength alone. You adapt. You overcome. That is why you survive. Mark smiled faintly. Humans have always had to survive. We make do with what we have and we find solutions. It's just who we are. Hours passed, filled with careful adjustments and constant vigilance. The ritual required complete focus, and Mark maintained it with remarkable concentration. He could feel the connection growing stronger, a thread of energy linking him to Lyria in a way that was almost tangible. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Lyria let out a soft sigh. It is complete. Your energy has aligned perfectly with mine. The ritual is stabilized. You have done it again. You have proven that your species is capable of greatness. Mark leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. We did it together. Humans and Arendorians, I guess. Lyria smiled, her glow softening. Yes, together. You have shown me that humans are more than I imagined. You are brave, clever, and capable of extraordinary things. Your species deserves respect. Mark felt a swell of pride. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, seen as weak or unprepared. But moments like this proved otherwise. They were resourceful, intelligent, and capable of rising to any challenge. Outside the station, the enemy fleet began to retreat once more, unable to comprehend the human strategy that had outsmarted them. Lyria's eyes followed them, her expression serious. They will return, she said. But now they know that humans are not to be underestimated. Mark nodded. And if they do, we'll be ready. Humans always are. For the first time, Lyria seemed completely at ease, her energy stable and strong. She turned to Mark, a look of admiration in her eyes. I underestimated your species. I thought humans were fragile, weak, unprepared, but you are different. You are capable of heroism that cannot be measured by strength alone. Mark smiled softly. We have to be. The galaxy is big, and the challenges are bigger, but humans find a way. That's what makes us. Lyria's glow pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat. You are right. And now I see why humans have survived, why your species continues to grow. Your courage, intelligence, and adaptability, they are rare in the galaxy. The ritual was complete, the immediate danger had passed, and a bond had formed between human and alien. Mark realized that this was not just about survival. It was about proving that humans could face the unknown and emerge victorious, even against forces far stronger and more advanced. As the station quieted, Mark looked at Lyria, feeling a sense of accomplishment. We've shown them something tonight, he said quietly. Humans can rise to any challenge. We might be small, but we can outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast. Lyria's smile was radiant. Yes, human. You are extraordinary, and your species. The galaxy should remember your name. Humans are not to be underestimated. Mark chuckled softly. Well, I guess tonight humans have proven their worth. And maybe, just maybe, we've earned a few allies along the way. Outside the window, the stars sparkled, silent witnesses to the triumph of ingenuity, courage, and determination. Mark knew that the galaxy was vast, full of unknown challenges and alien species, but humans had shown that they were more than capable. They were heroes not through raw strength alone, but through intelligence, creativity, and heart. And somewhere across the stars, the tale of a human engineer who had risen to meet impossible odds, and the alien who had trusted him would be told. A story of respect, courage, and the power of the human mind. The day began quietly aboard the space station, but for Mark there was a sense of anticipation in the air. The previous days had been filled with tension, strategy, and moments of awe as he worked alongside Lyria. They had survived the enemy's attacks, adapted an alien ritual for safety, and proved the remarkable potential of human ingenuity. Now the final stage was near, the conclusion of the ritual and the strengthening of the bond between human and alien. Lyria floated gracefully near the window, her glow soft but steady. "Mark," she said, her voice calm and serene, "the ritual is almost complete. I can feel your energy stabilizing with mine. Soon my species' life force will be fully restored." Mark nodded, adjusting the controls on his portable energy stabilizer. "Everything's stable. We've adapted your ritual safely. I think this is it, the final step." Lyria's eyes sparkled with gratitude. "You have done more than I could have imagined. Humans, you are clever, courageous, and remarkable," Mark smiled faintly. "I'm just doing what humans do. We face challenges and find solutions. That's what makes us strong." Together, they prepared the chamber for the final alignment. Mark carefully calibrated the containment fields, monitoring the energy flow and making minor adjustments. Lyria hovered at the center, her body glowing brighter with anticipation. The air shimmered with subtle energy, alive yet controlled. "You must remain focused," Lyria said softly. "This step requires complete clarity. Your mind and mine must move as one. Your species' strength is not just physical. It is intelligence, courage, and adaptability. That is what will guide us now." Mark nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and responsibility. Humans had often been underestimated in the galaxy. Tonight, he would show that their true strength lay not in weapons or size, but in creativity, determination, and heart. He extended his hands, aligning the energy flows with hers. Slowly, he felt the connection deepen, a delicate thread linking human and alien in a way that was both powerful and harmonious. Lyria's glow intensified, but it was not overwhelming. Her energy moved with his guidance, balanced and steady. This is incredible," Mark whispered. "It feels like we're part of the same life force." "Yes," Lyria said softly, "but do not let awe distract you. Focus, steady your mind. We are close to completion." As the minutes passed, Mark noticed subtle fluctuations in her energy, tiny disruptions caused by residual stress from the enemy fleet's interference. He adjusted the field carefully, improvising with his human ingenuity to stabilize the flow. Lyria observed, impressed by his quick thinking. "You humans," she murmured. "You do not simply follow instructions. You adapt, you innovate, you rise to the challenge." "I underestimated your species," Mark chuckled. "We rise because we have to. Survival often demands it, but I have to admit this is one of the most important challenges I've ever faced." Lyria's eyes softened. "And you have succeeded. Not through power alone, but through courage, intelligence, and heart. That is rare in the galaxy. Your species has greatness within it." The ritual chamber pulsed with a steady light, signaling that the energy alignment was near completion. Mark focused all his attention, keeping his mind clear and his hands precise. Lyria's guidance was steady, her voice calm and encouraging. Together they synchronized human and alien energies blending seamlessly. Outside, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging the achievement within the small station. The enemy fleet had retreated entirely, no longer able to challenge them. It was a quiet victory, a triumph of strategy, creativity, and trust. Finally, Lyria exhaled softly. "It is done. The ritual is complete. My life force is stabilized. Your energy has balanced mine perfectly." Mark leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it together." Lyria's glow dimmed slightly to a natural, healthy level. She floated closer to Mark, her expression one of deep gratitude. "You have saved me, Mark. Not only from immediate danger, but from the fate that awaited my species if this ritual had failed. You have proven that humans are capable of greatness beyond imagination. Mark smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, but this night had shown him and Lyria that their true strength was in thinking, adapting, and caring. "You're welcome," he said softly. "But it wasn't just me. We did this together. Humans are strong, yes, but we also need cooperation. And you trusted me," Lyria nodded. "Trust is rare, but I saw your courage, your intelligence, and your heart. That was enough. Humans, your species will be remembered in my world as heroes, not merely survivors." Mark felt a sense of pride swelling in him. He had faced challenges that few humans had ever encountered. He had protected life, solved problems that seemed impossible, and proven that human ingenuity could stand alongside alien intelligence. As the ritual chamber quieted, Lyria began preparing to return to her home planet. "I must leave soon," she said, her tone calm but tinged with sadness. "But know this, human. You have earned not only my respect but the respect of my species. You have shown that humans are not just capable, they are extraordinary." Mark stood beside her, looking out at the stars beyond the station. "I guess humans have a lot to prove in the galaxy. And maybe, tonight we've taken the first step." Lyria's eyes softened. "Yes, and perhaps, one day our species will meet again. Humans have a place among the stars, Mark. They are resourceful, courageous, and adaptable. They are heroes." Mark smiled faintly. "I hope that day comes. But until then, keep safe, and remember us humans." Lyria's glow pulsed one final time, brighter and warmer than before. She extended her hand, a gesture of respect and trust. Mark took it, feeling the energy pass between them, a quiet, unspoken acknowledgement of everything they had accomplished together. "You will always be remembered," she said softly. "Not just as a human, but as a hero. And perhaps, as a friend." Mark nodded, feeling a profound connection that transcended species. "And you will always have a friend here, Lyria. Humans may be underestimated, but we never forget those who trust us." With that, Lyria activated a small portal device. In a shimmer of light, she disappeared, leaving the chamber quiet but filled with a lingering warmth. Mark looked around, feeling both pride and a sense of awe. They had faced the impossible, adapted to alien circumstances, and emerged victorious, not through weapons or brute strength, but through human intelligence, courage, and heart. Mark walked to the window, gazing out at the vast expanse of stars. He thought about the journey ahead for humans in the galaxy. They were small, yes, but clever, courageous, and capable of extraordinary feats. He smiled, knowing that humanity's story was just beginning, and somewhere on Arendor, Lyria would speak of the human who had risen to meet the impossible, the one who had saved her life and earned the respect of her species. Humans would be remembered not just for survival, but for greatness, ingenuity, and heroism. Mark felt a quiet satisfaction. The night's events had tested him, challenged him, and ultimately proven that humans could stand alongside the galaxy's finest. They were underestimated no longer. For the first time, he felt the true weight of human potential, and he knew that humanity's journey across the stars was only beginning, and that no challenge, no alien threat, and no impossible situation could stop a human with courage, intelligence, and heart. The stars outside twinkled as if in agreement, silent witnesses to a story of trust, ingenuity, and human heroism. And in that quiet moment, Mark understood something profound. Humans were small, yes, but they could shine brighter than any star when it mattered most.